Yes, I'm Zbyszek Augustowicz. I'm the eldest son of Bolesław Augustis, or Augustus, as you know him back in Poland. And I'm 73 years old. My father came to New Zealand back in 1949. I was born a year later. We grew up back in those days, and times were quite tough, and my parents struggled a bit to pay for things. But one of the places we lived at when we first came here was Titirangi. My father rented a little farm cottage in Titirangi, and in those days it was fairly remote, and he loved it there because he had a rifle and that, and he used to wake up in the mornings and look out the bathroom window, and there'll be either rabbits or a quail or a pheasant outside, and he'd just shoot that, and we'd sort of have that for dinner. He sort of appealed. It pleased him and appealed to his sort of hunting instincts and that, and and he quite enjoyed that side of life, and it was nice growing up on a farm. But that was that was only for about 2 or 3 years, and then we moved on to other places. History. You mean what they've been through? Yeah. Well, it made me very aware of who I am and my ancestry and that, and I guess I feel Polish, even though I have trouble speaking it. But my father always brought us up to be very very proud of being Polish, and at home he always had the eagle and above the kitchen table, a picture of the eagle, and and there was always the cross as well, and we always celebrated special events and Polish like Easter and Christmas and other Polish feast days and that, and basically, when I was first born, my parents only talked Polish, so I could understand Polish and talk Polish. But this was as a child, as a 5-6-year-old or whatever, and so it's almost like baby Polish. It's I know common words like pies, kot, my children used to call my father Jadek. So a lot of the common words, like Vigilia and I don't know, well, not that often. I mean, when you're a child and you're growing up, it's not really what you talk to your children about, is it? It's sort of, you're too young for a lot of that. I mean, but later on in life, I learnt, what my parents had been through, and it wasn't very pleasant at all, and they must have suffered quite a bit. Well, to my father, all that time he spent in Siberia and the gulags and that, it wasn't very pleasant, and I don't think he'd like to think about it or talk about it. In his younger days, when he quite liked talking about when he used to, do his photography in Poland and that, and I think they were the happier times in his life, and he sort of loved the Poland of that time. It was pre-war and Poland was free, and I don't know, there was some sort of euphoria, almost happiness in Poland, because for a long time there was no Poland, and then all of a sudden it got its independence back in the, I don't know exactly when, but back in the 30s and that, and it was part of Europe, and it was a growing sort of country. So, and he was proud to be Polish, and unfortunately after the war, Poland existed, but only as part of the Soviet Union, and he, you know, after what he'd been through, he didn't really want to go back there. But he always did keep in touch with my grandmother and my auntie who lived in Poland, and yeah, he used to frequently write letters there. Yeah, also he had another sister in England and one in Scotland. So yeah, they used to often get letters from each other, and yeah, I mean, he sort of loved his Polish family and that, and used to correspond quite a bit. But yeah, I mean, he used to say he can't really write too much to the, you know, especially to his family in Poland, because, you know, it just got censored, or my mother. Yeah. Yes, basically her side of the family was taken by the Russians to Siberia, to the gulags. Yeah, back in, what was it, 1940, I think. I mean, she had 3 brothers and 4 sisters, so it was quite a large family. Unfortunately, her parents did not survive for long. I think they both died from, what is it now? Typhoid, I think it was. Typhoid or typhus or whatever it's called. Yeah, so she was orphaned, and she was the oldest of the family, of the sisters. So she was almost like the mother or whatever. So yeah, I mean, she was born in 1926. So when she was in Siberia, she was what? She was about 14 or something. So yeah, she almost had to take on the role of being a mother and looking after all the younger siblings or whatever. Yeah, she does. One story she tells about is yeah, they all worked in this gulag that was way out in Siberia where it's freezing cold, and they all had to sort of go out and chop wood or chop down trees for firewood, and that used to be, I guess it was used for fuel and to power the Russian trains or Russian steam engines or whatever. And yeah, and they all had to chop so much wood every day and whatever, and if you didn't receive your quota, you sort of didn't get fed and that sort of thing. And yeah, one of my uncles, Uncle Tony, occasionally used to sneak out at night, go out to where they kept the firewood, sort of jump over the fence or whatever, steal some of the firewood back again, and, you know, and use it a second time as their quota for the next day. So, you know, they got extra rations and stuff like that. And yeah, so there's a couple of funny parts of her life that she remembers that, you know, that they sort of got away with, even though, you know, times were really tough. But it felt like, you know, hey, we actually got something over the Russians or whatever, because, you know, we sort of managed to sell them the same or give them the same amount of timber twice in a row type of thing. Well, all of family was basically here in New Zealand as far as she knew, because her parents had died, so she didn't really have any relatives in Poland except, you know, on my father's side. So I think she was reasonably happy here, although, you know, because as you said, she had to sort of grow up fairly quickly and sort of almost have this mother role. Yeah, I mean, I think she was reasonably happy here because, you know, most of her immediate family were here and they all had children and, you know, and it was, yeah, nice sort of happy band of, I don't know, relatives and everything that were all basically around her. So, yeah, she was reasonably contented with that, although, yeah, I think she wasn't too, I mean, she missed out on a lot of her childhood because she had to, you know, grow up quickly and sort of, you know, take on this parenting role. And, yeah, it felt like she did a lot of things out of duty because that's, you know, she felt this is what I have to do rather than actually enjoyed life and that much, although she, yeah, she was reasonably happy as well. When she came to Paihia tour, I mean, she would have been, 16, 17 or something like that. So they basically, at the Paihia tour camp, they spent probably spent, about 2 years there, sort of training for life outside the camp. So the girls used to pick a trade, and my mother learned to be a seamstress, sewing and that sort of thing. And and after that she got jobs. Once my brother and I were a bit older, she got a job working sewing clothes. First she used to sew clothes at home, sort of on a contract basis for other companies that bring the work to her and say, well, you've got all this to do, and we'll come and pick it up next week, and then we'll give you another batch. So she used to do that at first, and then later on she ended up doing machinist work outside, sort of for different companies. She used to make sort of bras and undergarments and that sort of thing for quite a few years. For one of the bigger sewing companies. Yeah, in a lot of ways I do feel Polish because, I don't know, my father almost insisted that we sort of be Polish. It's sort of like, he always wanted us to speak Polish at home, and we were brought up speaking Polish when we were little. And, he felt very strongly patriotic. That's, part of the reason he helped contribute to the Polish house we got here in New Zealand, and he.
It's our culture.
Yeah, it's basically our culture. Even though I was sort of born here, we feel Polish because all through my life I've been brought up with Polish culture and whatever, and because that was such a big part of my life, or earlier life, and and when we've been growing up or whatever, because we used to spend quite a bit of time in the Polish house, learning Polish or celebrating different feast days, or Christmas, Easter, that sort of thing. And I guess it just stays with you. I definitely feel Polish. If there's something on the news about Poland, definitely interested, and I guess I do feel strongly Polish.